You're gonna fly away, glad you're going my
This is going to be
way.
three things that I believe every single that really wants to find their match. Some people don't want to find a match. That's okay. But if you do, then this is for you. Anyone over 39, because dating is different after 30s. It is different. And there are a lot of pitfalls that people can fall into. And I want to go into just the three general things, and we do a lot more on one-on-ones, but I really feel like this is very, very valuable information for anyone who truly wants to find their match. And I just want to start first just by kind of making sure you know who I am. I know most of you I know very well, but some of you don't know me so well. And who is this girl telling me, what to do for dating? I don't like when people blow smoke up my bum. So just so you know, I'm very well qualified. Nobody has met more singles than I have. No one. I truly believe that, and spent such a significant time. I don't just meet the singles. I spent 15 days with them in a row while they're on vacation. So we really get a good interaction. I'm able to do a lot of Q&A. I'm able to do a lot of back and forth interviewing. I've interviewed hundreds of couples, thousands of singles, and I've really been able to witness the dance that's done with the singles. Most of the people that I'm referring to are between like 40s and 60s plus. They've usually been married once, but not always. And I think this is going to be very valuable for you. uh, Interesting little story before I start is I used to be, when I worked on cruise ships for 8 years, I used to be the coordinator for a little get together that we did on the first night for people that were 50 years married and newlyweds. And so that was a great place to really understand what the dynamics, how to keep a marriage going. I had always really wanted to feel it, to understand, to learn how to keep a marriage together, how to not get divorced, and how to be happy, right? And they don't teach you this stuff in school, and I certainly couldn't learn from my parents. They were divorced, and that was pretty awful. And it's not something that they knew either, and it's constantly changing. So I've studied in psychology. I studied a lot of relationships, and I just feel like it's really a new world, and we have to re-educate ourselves. But I understand the psychology of singles these days, and I watch it. And this is about generalizations. We're not going to, of course, there's always an exception to the rule. So if I say one thing, try not to, if you're here and you're open, I just want you to be thinking, okay, she really, really wants to serve you from the heart. And I do, I really do. I want you all to find your match. I want you all to be deeply in love. I want you all to have that in your life and have your partner and have your travel partner for life, so that is my intent. Um, and again, it's been 15 years in the industry, so a long, long time in the industry. 20 years, really, if you're counting when I was just doing the couples. The one funny story I wanted to tell you is one time I had both newlyweds and 50 years married. Both were arranged marriages from India, and I got a really great insight on all that. So anyway, that was really fun. Okay, so talking about the first thing. So we're going to talk about three things. There's a lot to it, but let's just try and simplify and give you as much good information as possible. Number one, courting. So dating is a dance. So when I see people, when they say, oh, I just tell it like it is, I'm not into playing games, they're going to have to take me as I am. I hear that a lot. And I get it. I mean, I do get it. Dating is exhausting. Relationships can be exhausting. And generally, if you're over 40, you've done it a lot. So you kind of just want it to just fit, right? But I like to remind everybody that the psychology of dating and courting is ingrained in us in an animal instinct way. So, for example, you've got you've got the ape population, the primate population. I've studied them a lot. They're very interesting to me. But there's still a flirtation. There's a courting ritual with the female and the male, and that's what I specialize in: heterosexual relationships. I don't have expertise outside of that. So we're talking heterosexual relationships that are a little dating flirtatious dance. I mean, you'll see the girl ape or whatever, primate, and she'll be flirting with him, flirting with the guy, trying to tease him. And he is chasing after her and she's trying to get away, but she doesn't get away. She could get away, but she doesn't get away. So there's there's this chase, right? And I mean, if you look at any of these old movies like the 1800s or the 1900s, early 1900s, when they had all these really rich mansions and they had these galas and these parties, they used to actually have a game that would be chase the girl. The girls would go out and the boys would chase them. It really was just for flirtatious reasons. And even when we're kids, tag. I mean, it's like our favorite game. Chase the kid. It's just it's ingrained in us. So my I you deserve everyone deserves to understand that dating is a dance and you can't do shortcuts if you want the long-term results, and it's a courting ritual, and you do have to put your time in with these courting rituals, and you do have to put your best foot forward. It's not let it all hang out and hey, you better like me for who I am. That is probably not going to work most of the time. So try to set yourself back to when you first started dating and maybe meet in the middle, because I know when we first started dating in our teens and 20s, it was really all about what can I do to please the other person, right? What can I do to excite them? What I want to learn about them. You're very invested in them, and both people are invested in each other. So that's the dance. Okay, so dating is a dance, it is a courting, and if you really want the real thing, you deserve to prepare to do that, to do the dance and not just let it hang out and be yourself. Being yourself is important. But just one more example that I like is like if I teach a fitness class and I have a room full of students that I haven't met before, it's my first time there. If I walk in and I'm like, hey, so who'd you vote for this year? Are you a Trumpster or a Biden person? I mean, can you imagine? It's too much. It's too much. It's too fast. It's too caustic. I need to go in there and I go in slow because I'm a lot. And I really am a lot. I have a lot of energy. It can be overpowering to people. So my first time in, I usually try to just take it in slow. And I want to put my best foot forward and I want them to be happy and I want to please them and I want to agree with them and I try to find places that I can agree with them, not to take away from my own like identity, but there's always a place where you can find that you can agree or you can just not answer. Sort of sidestep the question. So that's important. Number one, dating is a dance, okay, and it is a nice dance and it's a fun dance if you're invested in it. Number two, now this one is a little bit tougher for people to hear, and I understand that, but I like to talk about the tough stuff because it's important, and I want you to succeed, and I want you to be successful, and I want you to have your match. I really do. So I get a lot from, especially from men in their 40s and sorry, 50s and 60s. What I watch is that they are looking for a woman that their ideal woman in their 20s, in their 30s. And so they're still having that picture of the ideal woman that they want 30 years younger or 20 years younger. And I'm never going to kill anyone's dream. Anything is possible. And I have seen that happen once in a while that it works. But I will tell you more often than not, what I witness is when a man is really just just still locked into the person that he wanted to date in his 20s, the girls that will date that man really are only doing to take advantage of him, and they're nice guys and it hurts my soul to see, and they bleed him dry and they lead him on and they waste your time and it's sad. So just remember a few things. So here's a psychology that I think is helpful, is that you know how dogs often look like their owners? Well, it's not because the dog turns into the owner, excuse me, and it's not because the owner turns into the dog. It's because the owner chose a dog that looked like them. So there's a psychology behind what's attractive to you. There's a lot of psychology behind that. But to simplify and to generalize, most people are looking for what looks like them. So often you will say, "Oh, that's a good looking couple." And if you really look at it, they generally have the same stature. Maybe they're the tall couple, or they're the shorter, plumpier couple, or they have the same coloring, color hair, color kind of the olive skin. They just match, right? And that is a psychological attraction. So I'm here just to try to help you get as many opportunities as possible, and I would say majority of the time you should be looking in the mirror and thinking, what does my counterpart look like? They should look like you. Now, if you want to change the way you look, that can be done too. Actually, it does. We do. I had to work a lot on my fitness and to to be who I wanted to be, but maybe you don't, and you're great where you are, and that's totally cool too. But it's just important to get the best probability for your match is to consider that most people will be attracted to you that look like you, because that is just an innate, again, something that's very innate in us. We look in our mirror and we want what we have, who we are. So that's an important thought just to kind of churn around. Okay. um I understand that people have an ideal gal or guy, and I don't ever want you to give up on the dream or even the passion, but I do want you to have opportunities to meet people that are also going to be attracted to you in the same way that you're attracted to them. So it's just a mindset to think about. And as we do change, throughout our seasons, and we all had our chance to be 20 and wild and whatever, but thankfully we were given chances to be 30s and 40s and beyond. But it's just a good idea to kind of take a look in the mirror, really, and say, okay, like, what am I going to be attracting here? um, that's something that I think could be very helpful, and it's a little self realization. It's kind of like perceived self versus actual self, and you see a lot of a good example of a lot of times where people are really not matching perceived self and actual self is when they're dating online, because online many people are giving this persona that they're super active, they're so they're so exciting, they're so active, they travel all the time, and then you meet them and like they don't do any of that anymore at all. So, and they put their pictures up that are their best Photoshop pictures, and so it's just it's an important thing to be self-aware, and to really take that hard look, and also to remember that you control this. You do. You control a lot of this. Not all of it, but a lot of it. And I can help there too. But that's our second thing, is just to be honest about where you are and to try to understand that you probably are going to attract people, the counterpart that looks mostly like you. So you really have to kind of, that's where you should be starting your search. Okay. Number three, and this is really important, they're not a home delivery. Or actually, I have dated the cable guy once, but again, that's not the norm. So, they're not going to show up at your door most of the time. You do have to get out there, right? You really do. It, it's not enough to say, I hope it'll happen. I'm open to it if you're not really actively out there trying. So I believe in dating apps. I believe in online dating, especially over 40, because it's very difficult to meet singles in any other environment besides a bar. And unless you're a big drinker, it's very hard to find your right match there. So I believe in it. That I do a whole different tutorial on that, because that's dating online is a lot of things, and you need a lot of thick skin, and there's a way to present yourself, and there's a way to check who is really in it for what they should be and who is not. So that's a whole different segment. But I believe in online dating, and right now that really is one of the more viable options. And I believe in the apps. I just believe it is a different way to date, and it is difficult. I also want to mention, I do believe that everyone has their match, and I've seen it happen. I've seen people fall in love in their 60s. I've seen people fall in love in their 70s. I've seen people fall in the most love they've ever had in their 50s. They had lives and thought they were in love with their husband or wife, had children, and then they met their dream person. So I believe, and you should believe too, is I know there's someone for you too. We're all made for someone special, and it just is a matter of that timing, and I think the little sprinkle of stardust from God, and being open and being sure. But there's no home delivery, so things like uh, clubs. So if you like to bowl, I would highly recommend going into a bowling club. If you like to do tennis, if you like any of those, any sport or any book club, it doesn't have to be physical, but whatever it is that you're into, I really highly suggest you get into a club of your own. And honestly, it's just good for your morale, it's good for interaction, and maybe you'll find the one. Don't go into it looking for the one. You just go into it to have fun and be yourself. But you have a better chance of connecting with someone that has those commonalities. So that is something I think is very, very important. And so the three things, just to reiterate: dating is a dance. You're going to have to court. Uh, the second thing is perceived self versus actual self, and knowing that the reflection of you is probably what's going to be attractive to your partner. So thinking on those lines, what can I do to attract my partner, or am I looking for the right partner, the right match? If I'm, looking outside myself a little too far, just to give you better odds, not to tell you you can't do that. You can have anyone you want. And the last thing is there's no home delivery, and you do have to get out there. I do think when traveling comes back, it's not a sales pitch. This is just the truth. I really do think our groups of singles, that to me is one of the best ways to meet people, because not only do you meet the people and not in this strained environment of dating, and oh my god, are they going to like me, and just do I like them, and how much time are we going to spend here, and oh dang, it's a lot of effort and energy when you're on sailing or at a resort with a bunch of our singles. With travel.fun, you end up just meeting people, and like all of a sudden you're like, hey, this person's really cool, but there was no worry about how it's going to be. You're just hanging out and you're on vacation, and that changes your mode. When you're on vacation mode, you're feeling a lot lighter and a lot more easygoing, and so are they, because we're also busy. So to me, that's the best way. And even if you don't connect with anyone on that particular vacation, they may know a friend, and then you end up reconnecting that way. So it might not be immediate, but you will meet that person. I think that's an amazing way and a really fun way to meet people. And the last bonus thing that I like to tell all my men and women is that no matter where you're at, no matter if you're at your best, or you're, the best you've ever been in 20 years, or if you're not, there's times that we're at our worst, and it does happen. Life can really beat us up. And it doesn't matter though where you are in. You have to remember, you are where you are. You can always change that a little bit, but you are where you are, and that's okay. You're still good enough. But you want to portray confidence. So the sexiest thing about people when they're courting is confidence, not cockiness. There's a big difference. Confidence. But you know that saying, how girls like bad boys? They don't necessarily. There are a few, but that's not the majority of women want to be treated well. However, the confidence of a bad boy is what the women are attracted to. The confidence. Now they go on to cockiness, but it can be kind of interchanged. Depends what kind of experienced mate you are courting. But I would always say there's a fine line between cockiness and confidence, and you can find it. I know you can, but confidence is key. No self-deprecating humor, no self putting yourself down for any reason in front of the person you're courting. You want to compliment them, make them feel good, but confidence is key. So you walk in your best self. Doesn't matter where you're at in your life, you're your best self. Then at that point, you be your best self with your best confidence, and know that I believe in you, and that I know everyone has their match, and anyone that's trying to find a match, I know can find them. So do not give up hope, and do not worry. They are out there for you, and it will be amazing. And just keep on those ideas that I gave you, those three ideas. I know this is just an overview. I do one-on-ones if you want to connect with me, and we get really in depth on how to get exactly what you want, and maybe even changing your game plan altogether. But confidence is key. Anytime you're dating, confidence is key. So keep that confidence. I'm Shelby. You're fabulous. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye bye for now. And don't forget, I want to connect on social with you. Facebook, Shelby Frenette, ShelbyLive.com. And we have Instagram, Solo Travel Expert, and of course, Solo Travel TV YouTube, and LinkedIn, Shelby Frenette. I'm Shelby. You're fabulous. I'll see you on social.